here, but he can't hear us because he's at
He's
a
at
science
his
fair.
daughter's
That's
elementary
dedication.
school science fair.
That is
we love
dedication.
you, Fraser.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to hit that button.
Recording live from the Haley Sisters Memorial Studios, straight out of lovely Elmont, Ontario, it's time for This Deathclock Has 60 Minutes, your unofficial WarmaHordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the death clock starts now.
Good evening, everybody. We're back.
We are.
This is episode 101.
Yes.
And
Owanga.
it couldn't be
101
episode 101 without bringing on the guest that's been on this show the most, mainly because he's the guy that we know that knows stuff.
Yeah.
Marc-André LeBlanc. Welcome back, Marc-André. Woo!
Thanks, Will. It's good to be back.
MA, before we go into the regular stuff, tell me, did you get some games in this week?
Oh, man.
How much time do we have?
I
quick.
played 8 games at once.
I have played 8 games in the past 5 days because of OTC mostly. Right? Ontario Team Championship. We had 5 games in one day. It definitely was not exhausting at all. But yeah, it was a great time. Amazing event, amazing teammates, amazing opponents. Like, what more could you ask for, really?
We weren't lucky enough to be there this year. Give our viewers a quick rundown on what the OTC is.
It is the largest singular tournament in Ontario and Canada, really. We had 32 5-man teams. It's WTC format, so basically whatever team wins at least 3 games during each round progresses. You get to go to Mississauga, play all day. Some sweet tables. They had sweet raffles for like teams that were fully painted. Obviously, mine was not because I was on it.
Yeah.
But seriously, it was amazing. Like it's just a great event every year, and like you just get like great games. You get a really good exposure to like the team format if you've never done it before. There's just nothing bad to say about it. Like the people in the hotel, like, are cool if you have booze around.
Oh,
too.
what?
That's always
That's
important.
impossible.
Yeah, I saw Scott was doing videos live from the OTC, and people were just sitting there drinking booze.
Oh my
at the
God.
tables. I was like, ah!
George and I are bummed, super bummed. Actually, and you're pretty bummed too.
Yep.
Like, so 3 things happened in a row. So first off, Jason and I and George were all supposed to be there. We were supposed to spend the weekend podcasting. Like Scott had like bent over backwards to make sure that this was going to happen. He had he'd given us a room to sleep in, all kinds of stuff. And in succession, you couldn't go because it was Valentine's Day.
No, it was
No,
my
wife's birthday.
Oh, it was your wife's birthday.
Valentine's
which,
Day is in February.
right.
Wow.
I don't even know these things. Love is not a thing
It's
I
not
care
a thing
about.
that you're into.
It's not, I'm not into love.
Humbug.
Then followed by quickly, I had to bail because a trip that I unfortunately, Daddy's got to make money,
Yeah.
and I don't make a lot of money right now. So
So you had to go
when
to
a $3,000 contract comes up, Will's got to take it. So I had to back out at the last minute, and then
And then I found out that when my operation was going to be, and they're like, you need to be here on Saturday
Yep.
to do all the preliminary blood work and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, great.
So 3 things happened, unfortunately, and I got to send. We'll get Scott on the show in a couple weeks. We'll grovel and apologize to him. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, next year. I've said this every year for the last 3.
Yeah.
Next year we will be at OTC if we have to kill
I
ourselves.
was last year, not this year. But
You were there last year. Anyways, so I want to send my apologies out to the
and
organizers.
we'll
of the
see everybody
OTC.
at the soup.
And we will see everybody at the soup.
I'm not sending apologies.
Jason,
Because you had the greatest birthday party of all
yeah,
time.
it was
your
actually
birthday.
Really amazing. It really was. But I heard Scott. So when Scott was doing his live stream, somebody was like, "Where's the stream games?" And Scott was like, "Well, George is having an operation, so Moose Machine couldn't come, and I'm pretty sure Will is away somewhere."
yeah.
And I'm like,
And then nothing.
"Fuck."
Were you
there's
upset
only
that no
2
one mentioned you,
guys.
Jason?
Yeah, there's only 2 guys in Moose Machine. Fuck you,
Apparently.
Scott Tallarico.
Here's what we're gonna do.
We're
this
gonna
year,
send
I'm
just you.
gonna play games all through SOO.
Oh no, you and I should just go and do the open tournament, and Jason can stream.
Can and then you'll be the Moose Machine guy.
You'll be the guy.
I'll be the guy that you guys hired to sit at the.
So
fucking
did you
desk.
see that Moose Machine has gotten good enough that they just hired a guy?
They just hired a guy.
Yeah.
Now. That's what they do.
I've never seen him before. Does he even know how to play?
The funny part about all this is that internationally, Jason is the one everybody likes.
Oh yeah, because he actually communicates with humans
I
on
know,
the internet.
It's weird.
He's been to Norway and he had shows and everything.
Yeah, it's true. It's totally true.
But you know, Jason, I feel you.
Yep.
When I was on a regular podcast, the Storm Chamber,
Yeah.
I was referred to as a listener as the other rotational host. He had no idea what my name was. So I'm with you, man. It happened.
Ouch. Yeah.
Jason, you'll never be my other rotation host.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate
You
that.
won't even get there.
All right, guys, we got to do quickly intros. Left on my left, your right, the one and only Maelstrom. Jason, I have to ask you about your game this
I'm
week.
here. Yes,
Did you
I'm
get a
here.
game in this
I'm
week?
a member
You
of the
you went
show.
to
Yeah, I went to Out of the Box last night.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
And got a game in against PO.
Wait, P.O.'s back?
PO's back. He was playing Trolls. He played Grim 1. Fuck your sakes, Connor. He played Grim 1, and I played Madrak 1. He was playing a Beast Brick, and it did not go well for PO because Beast Brick into Madrak 1, I think, is just a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time?
So, yeah, we played for a while, and then he was just like, okay, this game's over. But it was a fun game. We had a lot of fun. And,
it sounds like
I
it.
screwed up a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah?
So one of the stupidest things I've ever done, I left a charge lane open for my Mauler to get onto his Mauler.
Yep.
And I hit the Mauler with one of my champs, and he popped out a whelp, of course, blocking that charge lane. I was like, okay, that's annoying. But I still have Madrak, who can throw his thing and kill that.
I still have
whelp.
Madrak, which is
Yeah.
a solution to most problems.
Yeah, so I killed the whelp with Madrak, and then like, okay, I'll ricochet into the
you
Mauler.
did.
And then I damaged the Mauler, and he's like, oh, I pop out another whelp right in that fucking spot. I was like, God damn it.
That's awesome.
So even with that amount of stupidity, I still managed to
pull it out.
But anyway, yeah, that was my game.
Yeah. George, sorry, I'd like to introduce my other co-host, not remote. I can't remember the words that Marc-André just
Ringo?
Yeah. George, did you get some games in this week?
I definitely did.
We had a new player show up to the pub
Yeah,
this week, which is super exciting.
He is actually a returning player, not a brand new player. But Matthew hasn't been playing for a long time, and he's out of, I think, Smiths Falls?
Yeah, like a year. He's out of Perth.
Out of Perth.
Yeah.
So you think it's hard for us to get to the game store. So we are definitely his closest, and I hope he's going to come back a bunch because he was scarily good after that long off.
Yeah, it was a year. He was gone
He
for
hasn't
a
been
year.
there a year, and I think he maybe made one error,
Yeah.
like that I was able to identify during the game.
That's impressive.
which is scary.
That is pretty scary, especially when we need to relearn
I
the
made
system.
3 or 4 errors during that same time.
Well,
period.
and the system changed during that time. So
Absolutely.
he went from Mark II to Mark III and didn't make an error. That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I was playing errated Armored Core into Doom Reaver spam. It was he only had just because he only has 3 units. It was 3 units of Doom Reaver spam, couple of heavies. One was a Devastator, the Clamjack without any extra weapons.
Yep.
That's the one.
And a Jug, and then pretty much the standard support stuff. There was UAs on 2 of the Doom Reaver units, and his plan was just to come in and Doom Reavers to Doom Reave.
What was his caster?
He was playing Vlad.
Vlad 2?
Yeah.
I think it was Vlad too.
Yeah,
The
he
one
was.
where you feet on like D3 plus something dudes, and then they hurt you.
Yep.
And he was playing, which was very important against Armored Core, a unit of the fast horsies from Khador.
Cool.
Spray horsies. He used the spray horsies to kill all my repair dudes, so my Armored Core list
Pretty
sort of
pretty
buckled on
solid
one
tactic.
side.
Like I thought that was when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, that was well thought out.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I would say it wasn't a positioning problem, but the one thing he had to do, we were playing the new Mirage, I think is the name of the new scenario. So the two boobs with the seatbelt. He had to put his Devastator into...
Is that an Aggie?
I'm sure it is.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely it is.
He had to put his Devastator into one of the zones to stop me from scoring with a unit of shock troopers. But that got it close enough to my Conquest. So for anybody wondering, my list is Koslov, Conquest, 2 units of shock troopers with UA, 2 Kovniks, 2 units of, I think they're min units of repair dudes, and a unit of demo corps. And this is, of course, before any of the new units come out and before the thing changes and stuff like that. And it's the what I call surprisingly fast Armored Core, because it can be, if it goes second, it can be on the 24-inch line on the end of turn 1. But because it has a Conquest in it, as its only Jack, he moved his Devastator up to contest the zone, and then I just put a Conquest into the Devastator, and a Furied Conquest is about the only thing I know of that can run round a Devastator.
Yeah.
So when you're punching at POW 26, and it's only dice +3.
Only.
Well, that means the Jack is arm 23.
Yeah.
So I was like, this Conquest is the only thing that I have that can move that out of that zone.
Yeah. So you won in the end, even though it felt like you were
He literally clocked himself.
well matched. Oh,
It was that close.
I got a game in with Bilak,
Yeah,
which
you did.
was super
What?
awesome. It was
Bilak came to something?
Bilak came to something, and he dropped Nemo 3 with all the lightning, and I dropped. This is my ninth.
Ooh, does that list change massively today?
Things fighting it might.
Things fighting it might. So I dropped. This is the 9th game with Dreamer that I played. No, 10th game with Dreamer that I played, and it's my 9th win with Dreamer.
Holy crap.
Wait, you lost the game?
I lost my very first game with Dreamer.
Oh.
My very, very, very first game with Dreamer, which was...
So
I would say the reason why I lost my first game with Dreamer is because it was a good matchup, and it was my first game with Dreamer, but I'll also say I was outmatched. This game I thought was going to go one direction, and it went another. Mike...
Feeded a turn
too early, and he said his feat wasn't effective and he hadn't placed right, and it was like, I really think that if he had held it and waited for, because I had no range stuff, so I just had another round of marching up the board.
Yeah, you had no corpse tokens yet at that point. You were sitting bare.
I was sitting. Yeah, he was pretty to just run into me and kill all the things. Although I could have jammed pretty hard with the pumpkin heads because they had Mirage on them.
Dreadrot.
I know. I call them pumpkin heads, man. Why can you call them repair dudes, but I have to call them by the right name?
I can call them mechanics if you want.
Okay, there you go. So anyways, I got everything up. I jammed them pretty good. Held them back for 2 turns. It really became a clock game. It really, really did. There was the only point I got was taking out his objective, and
So you say you've won 9 games with Dreamer. Let's get a real metric. How many games have you put out in Apparition? The little dudes.
I'd say
called Phantasms.
7.
Phantasms, sorry.
Yeah, Phantasms, George. 7 out of the 9, I would say.
7? I
There's
think it's
been-
less than that.
No, I've been pretty good. There's been about 3 games where I've totally just boned that. A lot of that would have to do with drinking. And I would say this was Jason and I think agree this is probably one of the cleaner games I've played.
I think that's watching, because I didn't get to play a game that night, so I got to actually just sit and watch, which I enjoy honestly a lot of the times just as much as playing. And you played an incredibly clean game that night. I think it was probably the cleanest game I've ever seen you play.
Sweet, because I'm a terribly unclean player most of the time. But I'm loving Dreamer. Dreamer's really, really, really strong.
Isn't that nice when a caster clicks?
And it's weird because I felt like the last time I've had this experience was Kane 2. That was when I understood a caster well enough to be able to do everything that was in its toolbox.
Yeah,
and
all
I'm
the
feeling like I'm feeling that way with Dreamer now, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't wait to play a game against Marc-André where he can be like, "Yeah, will you?"
This is how you.
Where you
actually
finally
do it.
lose a game.
That's a funny coincidence because in the past 3 days I have also played 3 games with the Dreamer. That's like all I've been playing since OTC.
Yeah.
And yeah, she is fantastic. I'm definitely like seeing the potential and just like the shenanigans that she can pull off, and the phantasms are insane. And
Yeah. Are they ever?
Like, you get in that like scenario trade, and your opponent is sending real models, and you're sending phantasms.
Yeah.
And like,
And they do,
that's a
and
trade you're gonna win.
and they do
Yeah.
stuff with payoff. So
Yeah.
like, oh sure, you can take out that heavy. Awesome. Now all your upkeeps are gone.
Yeah, that in itself.
Good night,
is,
sweetheart.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's gross.
There's a lot of fun things, or just being able to place them. Like they don't have to go exactly where the model they removed from. So there's a bit of placement there as well. So there's some blocking that you can. There's just so much good. It reminds me of Mark II Haley, where
Absolutely.
you just had a toolbox. You just had a really deep amount of things that you can do. And there's ways that, like, if you spend 5 minutes thinking about a problem that somebody throws at you, there'll generally be something that can help you.
I'll just put this forward. Enfeeble is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
It is so good.
I agree.
As someone who's had to play against it,
Fucking
Like, oh,
Jesus.
your Colossal is mat 4, rat 4, -2 to all damage rolls. Let's go. It's doing nothing for the rest of the game if you don't have upkeep removal.
So good. Yeah. The worst part, what's even better is the threat of Enfeeble.
Yeah.
Like, even just having the threat of Enfeeble has kept you guys out of spell range half the time. Like, I'm not moving that unit forward. It's going to get Enfeebled. And because I've got Cage Ragers, you're like, I can't move her within 14, or it is like 16 inches or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's pretty funny. All right, guys. Tonight's show, we brought Marc-André on to talk about Crucible Guard CID drop today. And we needed, really, the reality is that we can sit here and theorize, but it takes brains to do it, and that's why we brought Marc-André on. Jason's got the internet; he's got the pulse of the internet. George has the pulse of whatever huge base,
whatever large bases they
large and huge base things have been put out. Plus, there's a COC tie-in that's a little treat for you, huh?
Oh my god. 2 models in 1 year. I'm blessed.
Yeah, I know, right? Limited faction, my ass. And I've got a little bit of knowledge of how the new Merc models and the changes in some of the Merc models are going to work. So I'm pretty excited about the fact that I'm getting, when I go back to Merc someday, which I may not, as long as I keep winning with Dreamer.
Why would you ever?
Why would I? But there's some exciting stuff happening because there's some changes to some standard Merc models and some new Merc models hitting the floor, which is pretty exciting. All right, guys, let's just get our overall impressions before we get started. So I think, Jason, you've been online all day today listening to what people think about this CID drop. I want to preface this with it. Let's remember that generally with CID,
these are knee-jerk reactions.
Knee-jerk reactions. B, we also generally see the highest power level first.
Yeah,
and
this is 8 hours old.
Yeah,
like,
and this is a
at time of
5 or 6 week CID. This is a big
one.
CID.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of changes.
So what is the pulse of the internet though? What do you think?
Original. Okay, so at first everybody, like, I was on Discord and Facebook and WarmaHordes, like the forums. At first everybody's like, sweet, these look all really awesome, and then everybody got to lock. And was like, this is the most broken fucking shit. I don't even want to play against this to test it. What the hell are you guys thinking? To which Pagani actually replied, just play the games and shut up.
Yeah.
Which I think is Pagani's general reaction now to everything.
Yeah.
He's becoming the hero that we didn't
He
want.
really is.
But the one we need.
Yeah, definitely.
Pagani he's active on Discord a lot. He's on there
it's
all
actually
the time.
really nice to have that instantaneous access to a developer of a game.
Yeah.
We didn't ask you just to sit around and theorize and complain. Try fucking playing it, dumbasses.
Yeah. So, I mean, immediately people read them, and I think people forget there's also rules that go along with the game. They just see the stats and stuff like that. And somebody was commenting because the new caster, the one that works also for COC.
That's Locke.
Locke, yes, exactly. You use her mat for your jacks.
Yeah, Matt and Rat.
But people were running off the handle saying, oh, so COC gets Mat 11 jacks now. Not thinking, okay, the Mat actually comes only from that one particular caster, not whatever caster you choose in faction.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so it's going to be Mat 9, not 11, guys. Like, just relax a little bit.
Well, Flare makes the Mat 11.
Flare does make the Mat 11. But it's a lot of knee-jerk stuff. And granted, a lot of people have a point. I think
Locke is a little
Locke
overpowered.
is a little.
We'll talk about that.
Don't you dare touch my caster.
yeah. George is like, oh yeah, new COC.
So let's go over to Marc-André because we haven't really given you. What is your first impression of all this? You've had a chance to go through the generalized rules now. How do you feel about this faction?
I mean, I think the main thing with this faction, when I look at it wholesale, is like, I want to debuff you, and I want to shoot you. And some casters make the assassination path more viable, and others make the attrition path way more viable. But if we're looking at the convergence one, I honestly think it's good in either faction. But I do think that precision in conjunction with what's the jack with the macro pummeler? I forget the name. But basically, I get to pick the column, and I'm like POW 22. I'm going to take out your spirit, knock you down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah, the inverter gets amazing.
Inverter, that's it. Yeah. So, but even aside from the damage and picking column buff, Redline and Road to War is way more threat extension than Convergence has ever seen before, especially if we're adding Beacon on top of that. So this is going to be a really good Convergence caster.
Yeah,
super good. So let's go over to you, George, because that's what you're looking at here, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And that's what you're excited about, having three heavies in a list.
There's a couple things that I love about this. One, I love obviously Locke is just fucking amazing in Convergence. I also really like the aesthetic of these guys. I got into this game for giant steam-powered robots, and this faction delivers. That any faction that will give me giant steam-powered robots, I'm all about.
I believe Chris Aubin's comment today was, "Oh, it's Signar legs with Kador bodies." I wish they'd done something more, and I'm like, but that's exactly what we all wanted.
Yeah, like that to me. That seemed. Thank God it wasn't like, Signar bodies with men off legs or something. Like that would be really.
Yeah, we're
silly.
definitely getting the original Big Stomp. You now see the root of all the Big Stompy robots.
Yeah, and between them and sort of my eternal want of a battle engine caster for Convergence, at least there's one in Crucible Guard that is literally a tank. Like, that just makes me so happy. So my initial impressions are, I hope this stuff that I like doesn't get kicked in the nuts too hard. And then I'm really interested to see if the battle engine caster with two battle engines, like that we actually saw as the promo image for Crucible Guard, which is literally two battle engines and the battle engine caster.
Yeah.
I want that to be viable. I want it to be viable.
I don't see why. Well, first off, I mean, I think we can compliment PP right now that none of these CIDs have kicked something in the nuts so bad that it's unplayable. I'm thinking. Just a second. Yeah. Wait, you stopped playing Crix, didn't you? So,
that was before the CID. That's fair.
But that's the thing. Like, I think that it's not going to become like they're not going to nerf it so much. The goal is to become balanced.
Yes.
So as long as it's not like we don't want these things. I don't want a new faction that comes in that's so effing broken that it destroys the game.
Powerful is fine. Powerful is fine.
The bit of their job that I really do not envy them is how do you make everything playable against each other without losing what a faction is? Because that has always been the problem. If everything is homogenized, well, we might as well be playing chess.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But one of the things that makes it awesome are these concepts, the Crucible Guard having all these different types of
stackable debuffs
or
stackable buffs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So let's go through. So we got about half an hour.
Yeah.
That should be enough time for us to go through the core models.
We should each pick, I would say, one out of each set that we really enjoy.
Well, I think
because I can't imagine us actually getting through all.
Well, you know what? Let's go through. Well, let's talk about first about the major rules change that we got to see today.
Oh yes,
right.
That's
I think that's it because this is an overall global effect that's going to change the way that we play the game. We got a hint of it with Company of Iron.
Yes,
which is. And I think when we saw it in Company of Iron, we commented that we liked the change.
And I think a lot of people went, "Oh yeah, they're beta testing that."
Yeah,
for sure.
So, Jason,
Yeah.
what is the change?
The change is instead of just being straight immune to damage from
lightning or
the elemental effects, you now take one less d6 on damage rolls. So instead of just not taking damage, you're taking 1d6 or boosted 2 or an additional 3 or whatever. So it's just one less die on damage rolls.
So you're looking at more like a resistance as opposed to immunity.
Indeed, yes.
That poor sacrificial storm guard.
So George, I mean, you and I both agreed today that we like the change in the rule. Mm-hmm. I like the change in the rule because I've always found it janky to shoot your own dude in the back in order to arc your lightning to the next 3 things in front of it.
Yeah.
I get it from a story standpoint. It's kind of a cool thing. Like, woo, that looks really.
I always thought from a story standpoint, the reason that you wouldn't be hurt by electricity is that your armor is grounded.
Absolutely,
so
no,
I always
get
thought
it.
that the lightning should hit that guy and then ground out.
I get it,
so
but it creates complications. Let's say in a game. So overall, your impression of this, how are you feeling about that change?
I like it. There are times when when I was playing Legion and I would come up against a fire immune army. And it's just like, oh, I guess I don't get to shoot anything. It's your job, bolt thrower. This is your day to shine.
Yeah. You have no types on your shot.
Exactly.
That brings up
the Naga.
That brings up a big thing. That also list locks you when you go into certain things. If you're playing, say, something with a whole lot of fire immunity, you're now forced to play that second list, which may be a worser choice out of your 2 in a tournament setting.
Yeah. And so what this change brings is that ability to at least have a game.
Yeah,
you know it's going to suck because it's basically like everything has a crippled weapon.
Right.
But it suddenly means that you have a game.
Yeah. So let's go to Marc-André because I think this is Marc-André as a hardcore Signar player, and Signar is the lightning bolt arcing thing. And really, what's your general impression? Is this a positive change for the game?
I guess I will say yes, but qualify that with a but. Mm-hmm. So you talk about not being able to arc lightning off your own shenanigans. Because now you're damaging your own Firefly or your own Storm Strider or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing is, Signar has access to a lot of armor buffs, both in and outside of caster selection.
Yeah.
So if my Firefly is going to run in there to win me the game for me to shoot it, I'm probably just going to put Arcane Shield on it.
Yeah.
And it's going to survive pretty much every gunshot my list throws at it, even under Nemo 3's feet, I'll add. And I'm still going to get those E-leaps that I want. So for example, an Arcane Shielded Firefly takes 0 damage from another Firefly shooting it to bounce on average dice if Arcane Shield is on it. It takes about 5 damage every time a Strider shoots it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking like end game scenario, and I think that sending in that Firefly is going to win me the game, I don't see a negative as the Demo 3 player.
Yeah.
Right.
What I do see is positives, because now your lightning immune stuff still might die to my guns. Right. Whereas before it ignored them completely.
Yeah.
So as a Signar player, I honestly see this as a straight buff to Nemo 3, honestly. Like the whole Spark Node thing, I use maybe 1 out of 5 games. So overall, but what I see is now matchups that I was scared out of, I'm fine with. So I think what the issue is that it's half of the solution to the Nemo 3 problem. Whereas they also need to do the thing that George mentioned and say, you cannot bounce lightning off your own shit if it's immune to lightning, period. Let's stop that. Let's just take that out of the game and now Nemo 3 is taken care of. As is, I see it honestly as a buff to him. For the rest of the game, though, discounting Nemo 3, I think it's a super positive change. It helps like equalize those matchups where if your stuff was fire immune and your opponent's guns were all fire, you just won.
Yeah.
Now it just makes it harder. I think that's a great positive change.
Is the circle battle engine still immune to everything?
It is, but now it still takes one less d6, right?
Still now it now actually takes damage.
Yeah, so as like I guess a normalizing force, I see that change as a positive.
Yeah.
I just also see it as a buff to Nemo 3, which I really doubt was their intent. Like he's the caster that does not need that at all. So anyway,
I think I see it. I think I didn't really look at it that way. I look at it as like, well, in this case at least, you're not just going to sit there and arc. But you're right. But also it forces you to make those decisions and bring an arcane shield. Bring those. It forces some different decisions within your strategy within your Spark node too. You got to make sure all that stuff happens. Things don't get stripped, etc., etc.
I do. I mean, so here's how I see it changing the Nemo 3 game plan real quick. Nemo 3 always takes a junior, but basically instead of putting Arcane Shield on the Storm Strider turn 1, it goes on the Firefly. I upkeep it, the Firefly goes in, everything happens, junior activates last and swaps Arcane Shield back to the Strider and kind of scoots back to safety because the theme lets it reposition. Yep. So I don't see, unfortunately, I don't see a big change to the Signarian game plan. And yes, that Firefly is going to be more damaged than it used to be when it goes in there. But when you run a Firefly to kill a heavy, you're expecting it to die anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess. That's my issue. I definitely see you guys are trying to draw out like the nuance. Like, well, your stuff's going to be more damaged than it was. I agree. But as a Signar player, I've already accepted that model is dead. It just doesn't know it.
You've launched it to do that job. Yeah. No, I totally understand that. It's going to be an interesting thing. I wonder if the direct result to the Nemo 3, because this is a direct. This does affect Nemo 3 more than any other caster, I think. At least the current meta and the current lists.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see how that comes out of CID and see whether they acknowledge that, like, oh, this didn't quite do what we wanted to do, so we have to tweak the way that Spark node thing works.
We should mention that the wording on Scather is going to get a change as well.
Yes.
So that, like, Scathers that are corrosion or something will actually say, now things with immunity, corrosion, don't take the damage.
Which is great, yeah.
And Wild Wing Zero there in the chat brings up, I think, a crucial point, is that what this, however, does is that single wound infantry that used to be just immune to that damage is now still susceptible to it.
Yeah.
So now E-Leaps that did not affect, even Stormblades are affected by E-Leaps now.
Yeah.
They're not, if it's an E-Leap itself. But, like, the fact that you can now take electrical damage on your single wound models, or fire damage or whatever, or corrosion damage, like if we're talking Croaks, that does actually make them significantly weaker to types damage than they used to. They just ignored it before. Now, like, I put Venom down on your Croak Raiders, I have a 50-50 to kill them, whereas before they didn't care.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, right.
Because I hate Croaks. I mean, just straight up want them to die.
Croaks.
Like it sucks to be told, like, oh, by the way, your model just, like, oh, by the way, the attack you made is worthless because I'm immune.
Yeah.
But it for single wound infantry, and PP's addressed this in their like dev talk. They're like, we really want you guys to test to see how this affects single wound.
Let's straight up talk about this because we're about to go into CID stuff, and we try to mention this every time we do CID stuff, and I don't think anybody listens to us, other than we created hashtag fake rules. Please remember that CID is all about testing these things. So instead of saying this is bullshit, I hate it, I want it to die, take it, test it, try it, see what it's like. We're going to be testing out.
That would require work, though.
Yeah, but we're going to be. I would like to test
the
out.
The internet would rather not do that.
No, that is true. Since I live there, I'd rather not do that too.
Yeah.
So the good news is that we're going to be trying out these new rules.
Oh yeah,
we're definitely already trying the new
really
scenarios.
I want to test that That triple battle engine.
Yeah. Well,
Bilac is definitely.
I don't care about your
proxying.
triple battle engine. I don't want to lose to that over and over again. What I care about is testing out the new elemental rules and the new immunity rules, and let's see how that works. Before we comment on how things change, please remember that it's best to test things out and send in your feedback to PP so that
so that it can actually get
so
changed.
that it can get changed instead of just theorizing. Okay,
and
ladies.
please do so in a way that's not
Contentious.
super like antagonistic and oppressive, because all that does is get you banned by Pagani, and my guess is that he enjoys doing that.
I feel like that's his
Yeah.
favorite job.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what gets him out of bed in the morning.
I'm gonna go ban me some motherfuckers.
like if you're like, oh, today I'm gonna be an asshole on the CID forums, you're just making his day.
Yeah.
So really, just
Ooh, we
settle
need
down.
a ban count on Discord.
Oh,
That's
that'd be
the
awesome.
bot that says you have been banned.
You've been banned.
And the number.
and a big flashing screen. Banned. Okay, guys, let's go through some of this stuff. Yeah, you're right. We're probably not gonna have time to go through every single thing.
Not even
Do
close.
I know
But let's
us?
talk about a bit about. Well, obviously your favorite caster is. We'll get to that in a second. So just hold on. Just no.
Yeah.
Wait. Just no.
Yeah.
Just put your.
Yeah.
Maker's Mark?
So yeah, they put Maker's Mark on a few things. They
We
got
should point out what that is.
Vanguard.
What Maker's Mark is.
Oh, that allows Crucible. So the Crucible Guard, a couple of mercenary models will be allowed to be used in Crucible Guard.
Yeah, specifically stuff in fluff that they make.
Yeah. And this means that a couple of models that mercenary players have been waiting forever to get their hands on have now arrived.
Yeah.
Toro!
The Toro, yeah. So now you can finally have Rutger with the Toro. You can finally have your...
You can also take Toro in COC
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
and the Vanguard. So
So
interesting.
I get something with a Cortex.
they've also just they've adjusted a couple of the Merc models, Gorman and the Ironmonger in Hutchuk,
Yeah.
in particular, to make sure that they will work for both factions.
Yeah, they pick up Partisan.
But other than that, nothing's changed on those models. Is that they work for both. And they were when we talked to Will, the Wills last week, they said that one of the cool things about that was that was the root of the faction. They looked at Hutchuk, they looked at Gorman, and they said, what makes these models different from every other model? Well, it's this triple, being able to do three things with any of your things, basically.
Yeah.
So that's really the root of the faction. So let's talk about the Warcasters a bit. Jason, you had a chance to go through some of the Warcasters, other than your anger. Was with how,
angry.
with how well
The internet was angry.
the internet, other than the internet being super angry.
I was like, holy shit, that's crazy.
That is super cray. Super cray. Was there anything that kind of stuck out to you as cool, interesting?
Swamp Mist on the chat just pointed out that there's no possible way this Lucas is not getting nerfed, because in a mirror match during the feat, there's just a way where they can infinitely loop spells back and forth at each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's an infinite loop
Yeah.
in War Machine now?
Yeah.
Nice.
Just infinite
Nice.
boosted powder kegs back and forth at each other.
Until everybody dies.
Yeah.
And then the
so-
casters just pillow fist each other for an hour.
Yeah, because the way his feet works, and we might as well read it out, because,
Yeah.
I mean, most people have read it by this point, but...
I see it.
Yeah. So unmark all marked juice boxes, which is hilarious, by the way.
Juice boxes.
Juice boxes. On Lux's card. No, wait. Are we talking about?
No, he's
we're
saying
not
the
talking about
Convergence
Lucas.
caster.
Yeah, we're
No,
talking
it's,
about
Locke.
Yes,
Locke, yeah.
Lucas and Locke. There's two L's there. So yeah, Lucas or Locke
Enemy
has
upkeep spells and animi in Locke's control range immediately expire.
So,
when an enemy
yeah.
model is forced, casts a spell, or spends one or more focus or fury points while in Locke's control range after the spell is resolved, Locke gains one focus point and can immediately cast one spell without spending focus, which means he now has a focus to
and he
boost.
gets a free, yeah.
Yeah, so Locke can boost attacks and damage rolls on spells cast as a result of arcanidemic catalysis. If a model casts a spell by spending a focus or fury, arcanidemic catalysis triggers only once. So it doesn't mean you don't get, like, because you use two focus,
You don't get cast.
you don't get
throw
a
twice.
cast. Yeah.
But that makes sense because there were also doesn't like that text also misses the part where, like, if you kill the model that casts the spell doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Like, whereas every other ability does that.
yeah.
Yep.
So there's all these weird interactions where you might throw a model that, like, still casts a spell at you. It's just a really badly worded feat,
Yeah.
and it's good that they're fixing the.
Yeah, because lock
like,
versus lock, you get
the
a free
wording.
spell, right? You get a free spell whenever something happens, and then you cast that spell, and then if he's feated as well, he gets a free spell back at you.
Yeah.
So it's just infinitely looped spells back and forth.
And one of the spells that you're going to throw is one that
It's a huge,
throws you and
yeah.
like knocks you down and shit.
So it's basically
powder
like
keg.
3.5 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. Where they're just like they're striking back and forth endlessly.
Somebody needs to cut us together that video now. Just the Dragon Ball Z yell with lock on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what it was gonna turn into.
So-
That's also, by the way, that's what playing Magic is like. if you're both playing a control deck. But anyway, that's beside the point. But I appreciate Swamp Mist mentions it because it needed to be fixed for sure.
Yeah, that's
well,
a little ridiculous.
especially with Bombshell in there.
Oh yeah.
Because Bombshell just becomes ridiculous. It's just like, if I can cast Bombshell for free and boost it, and that throws all kinds of shit around the board,
Yeah.
that why have a game?
Even Jackhammer is ridiculous. Free Jackhammers are insane.
So I run into your Colossal, which is super good, which now has +2 strength, and I hit it with my one thing that I was super excited about hitting you with, and you're like, sweet. So I Jackhammer you.
Yeah.
And
It was also really good with the inverter again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
like, I mean, maybe your Colossal has sustained attack, and you never have to roll to hit again.
Mhm.
And then you're just jackhammering
Yeah,
for
we
damage.
didn't think about that, did we?
Yeah.
During
When you get to pick column, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like, I will remove let's get rid of that shield first, and then let's get rid of that Cortex. I don't want you hitting me back, so let's get rid of those arms.
on a Jackhammer.
Yeah, because
that you got for free.
Yeah.
And he's also got Field Marshal Precision Strike. So
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's so good.
So let's just hope that this gets nerfed, and let's move on.
there's no way.
Otherwise, I really like all the other casters. I like the fluff. I like
Yeah.
the idea behind them.
Yeah.
So what do you think of a caster with 36 damage points, Mark?
I think that's quite clearly the best caster in the faction.
Yeah.
That feat allows you to shoot a storm wall off the table with Arcane Shield, just with like 3 models. So that to me feels so. In case anyone's wondering, basically, you play her in the Prima Materia theme. You throw in a Vulcan and one more Rayless Liberator or Interceptor. Those 3 models will kill a storm wall at range on average dice. If it has Arcane Shield. You'll kill an Arcane Shielded storm wall with those 3 models.
Wow.
So because of that feat, and because of the run-in guns section of her feat, and because of reposition on those models, you can pretty much play into any Signar list, shoot it off the board, and be completely safe from reprisal because your caster is arm 19 and has 36 boxes. So that's an interesting direction in which they've taken the caster.
Did they not
basically? I expect. I actually don't know. Like, because the design notes say like, oh, do you feel that McKay's feat is impactful enough?
Yeah,
and I'm like, motherfucker, it's like the best feat in the game. Like, it's just boosted damage rolls.
Yeah.
No stipulation for melee, battle group, ranged, whatever. It's just boosted damage.
It's just good. Like, I mean,
And magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and magical.
Yeah.
So it feels like almost like a litmus test. It's like, let's see which of the people doing the CID are actually paying attention. Where you're just like, anyone who's like, yep, green, ready to go, you can just ignore that feedback. I'm being a bit harsh, but that feat and that caster, it's because as an aside, the theme gives her advanced move.
yeah.
Because she's a battle engine.
Yes.
So like the free combat alchemists that you get give her advanced move.
Yeah, exactly. So with the
Oh my
theme.
God.
With the theme, you get 2 free units because each battle engine is 36 points. So
You
if
can get
take...
3 free units because they're FA3.
Oh, okay, there you go.
The
So,
alchemists.
yeah, so you have the
Wow.
3 units. So all of your battle engines advance move.
Yep. Or your like the world's kind of your oyster at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And look, but you look at the guns.
Yeah.
2 spray 10s, POW 14, a POW 15 range 15 with arcing fire and flare,
Damn it.
and a spray 8 POW 12. And then
My
your other
God.
battle engine has that same thing, and your Vulcan's got 4 initials, all at POW
Yeah.
14 as well,
Yeah.
with access to rust, that humor ability that the weapon crew has, which affects living and undead. Speaking of which, because it affects living and undead, and rust now affects constructs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can strip 4 armor from a wraith engine because it's an undead
Wow.
construct.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my
Anyway,
God.
I see her seeing some tweaks because currently you can pretty much shoot anything off the table with that feat.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
interestingly, they've
insane,
said
dude.
in the dev talk today that they don't want her number of boxes to go down. They want you to make her less survivable in some other way.
So when
yeah.
Scar 3 was being tested, did Scar 3 not start off with like 32 and they brought her down to like 26?
Yeah, well, one
Yep.
of the things they specifically called out was Scar 3 because they said we want the actual tank to be a tank compared to the ghost ship.
Okay.
Like they want it to have significantly more boxes than a ghost ship. If they said if you want to make her more easily damaged, you need to figure out some other way to
It's
do
your
that.
guys' job.
Well, no,
Okay,
that's what they
make
said.
her focus 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at what she does. I am I'm not exaggerating. I will shoot your Arm 22 Colossal off the table with that feat, and you will have like nothing significant to answer that with.
Yeah.
Make her focus 5.
Well, and if you
Make
make her
her
focus, if you make
actually-
her focus 5, that also forces her to play frontline, which means she now has to move. She has to move with her army,
Forward
even
enough.
that extra 2 inches. It does. That does a lot. That does. Yeah.
I think so, and don't like. I still think even a focus 5,
She's still
I still
good.
think she's insane.
Yeah.
Like you're putting rat 7 crit freeze sprays into people, and if one of those sprays happens to clip one model that I just killed, her feat gives her run and gun, so she gets to like moonwalk back 6 inches,
Yeah.
and not care anyway. And then late game, her and her battle engine have ram, like with a 9-inch threat of just, by the way, you're knocked down and I just shot you to death.
Yep.
She is really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, just look, and she gives concealment to her buddies around her. Anyway, I could go on about how insane this caster is,
Yeah.
and I already have, but
Yeah.
she's really good.
Well, I feel like the good news is we're going through 5 weeks of CID. Let's
Yeah,
hope that
so
these
she'll.
things-
Yeah.
I feel like
It'll be
Mercury-
interesting. So let's comment. Like, so the Marc-André's theory is that the focus could be changed. I think that's a great
That's an interesting way to
alternative.
do it, yeah.
I have no idea. But then maybe that's maybe that's really where we should be thinking. Is it'll be interesting to see where we come out at the end of this.
Yeah,
because Grimkin went through a shit ton of changes before.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I have some faith.
5 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, I will be really interested to do a couple of comparisons at the end.
Yeah.
Between what they were and what they are.
And I feel like with Crucible Guard, there's a lot more people who are all in than they were with
There was a
Grimkin.
lot of people who didn't like the style or
The aesthetic of
theme
Grimkin.
of Grimkin.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot
It
more
was just
people.
Bilac, you guys.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more people who really.
Bilax the
like
population
that.
sample. He's
All right,
There was a lot
so
of
let's
people.
let's skip the casters. Let's move into the units. Or
Units?
is it units
Jacks
next?
first.
Jacks next. Is there any of the Jacks that have you guys? I mean, I'm obviously excited with the Toro because anything that I can add into Mercs is going to be fun.
I like the
and this is
Toro
just a
because it
super-
has nothing on the back of his card.
He's just
He's
a
just-
super simple,
he's a
straightforward
He's a beat your
stick.
fucking
Yeah.
face in. Yeah.
Anything that's got a POW 18. Well, it'll be interesting for me to see whether I choose this over a Nomad
Yes, that is interesting.
and when I choose this over a Nomad because I
13
don't
points.
I don't
POW
see
18.
I don't see why I choose this over a Nomad.
Counter
yet.
charge. Just
Countercharge
It has a
is-
shield instead of a buckler.
Shield and countercharge makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
But this is what I like about this. I like the Toro because it actually gives me a reason to think about that.
Yep.
Like because countercharge is solid, and countercharge in Mercs is something that's pretty awesome. Really.
What's the speed and range on a Nomad? Is it a 1-inch reach?
It's the same deal.
Same, yeah.
2-inch melee,
2-inch
5-inch
melee.
speed.
2-inch melee.
Yeah. Same deal overall, except this one has a little bit more survival. And something with a shield with Magnus 2 is...
Yeah,
Magnus
that was actually mentioned in the dev talk, that this guy is Magnus 2's best friend.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Magnus 2 is, I think, the litmus test for the Toro.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, does that extra armor for 2 points push it beyond what is acceptable or not?
Yeah. I don't
to
think
me, that's the test.
And I don't think it does. I think that's a decision you make. So maybe you don't take 3 Nomads now. Maybe you take 2 Nomads and 1 Toro, because the Toro can stay close to Magnus and have the counter charge and help you out in those. It'll be interesting to see. I want to play it. I want to test it. I want to try it out.
But that's a good point, Will, that I think needs to be reiterated is Magnus 2 already makes like your advances tough because of his feat. And then he's like, oh, we're going to throw countercharge into that mix. Like, oh, by the way, yes, you figured out a way to get your model in the right spot. Here's a free boosted POW 18 from my Jack.
Yeah.
Does that fuck up your plans? It might.
Fine, I'm just going to move. Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, like, oh, wait, you can't. That's the thing. You can't jam up his countercharges very easily because of the feat. Yeah. So your opponent, like an extra free boosted POW 18, I should say. That's like game winning in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, I didn't even think along those lines with the feat, but
we kind of skipped over the Retaliator.
Mm-hmm.
That Jack is not okay.
Yeah, he's got. So this was brought up during the dev talk as well.
Could you show me on the model where the Retaliator touched you, Mark?
So
it's black humor.
Yeah,
that's the dumb.
So he's got a way of removing cloud walls, basically. He's got an 8-inch spray with shot types, where one of those shot types is, if that spray overlaps a cloud effect, it just goes away. So you run some kind of cheap infantry up between 2 clouds, you spray that down, and those 2 clouds are just gone.
So
silly interaction of the night. Burning forests are technically a cloud effect.
You can get rid of them.
And you can remove a forest off the table with this Jack.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. This really hurts Signar's
Trencher wall.
Trencher wall.
It hurts that. It hurts
Druids.
Colgrima. It hurts any Gatsby
Asphyxious,
2. Anybody with a cloud wall. Yeah. Exactly.
Zerkova don't want to see
anybody that relies on a cloud wall to just solve
just that one delivery. Jack will fuck up your cloud wall.
And it's a light.
So like half the casters, half the factions in the game have cloud walls now. Yeah. But I'm not even focusing on that. That's fine. I think between the Misspeaker and like enough eyeless sight spread around the War Machine factions, cloud walls are like good but not like game winning.
Yeah.
But Black Humor says, I just put Grievous Wounds with my spray 8.
Yeah.
Oh.
So my concern there is you're also giving me access to a caster that has precision. So now my little Retaliator walks up, puts Grievous Wounds on your heavy, and even if my dice completely shit the bed, your spirit or your Cortex is almost for sure gone.
Yeah, and you have Grievous.
Yeah, so you kind of win like the heavy trades when you can just apply that to someone. Yeah, and you can just
with a 9-point Jack.
Yeah, with a 9-point.
Well, it's 9-point light. Which is actually
yeah,
I mean, it's in the realm of
with an 8-inch spray that
I will point out 1317 is the best light.
That is true.
Those are
that line in the game.
That's a Crix heavy Jack. Like that.
Yeah,
1317 is literally.
It is literally a Crix heavy Jack.
That's sad.
All right, guys, we're gonna only give this another couple of minutes, and so I'd like to compliment George for having it absolutely right. That there's no way we could possibly get through all of this. I thought I was being smart, cutting us off on our just normal banter. With
they did the dev talk took about 2 hours. 2 hours.
All right. Well, here's the thing. We're gonna come back to this because the CID process is gonna last a while. This is actually good that we're not going super in depth because the reality is a lot of this is going to change.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend our whole evening just complaining about things that may or
impressions are good.
So let's talk about
initial impression of arc nodes that go away.
The one that suffers damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it only has 2 arc node boxes.
Yeah.
And every time you fail it, one of those goes
One
away.
of those goes away. Yeah.
That is a really bad 40k mechanic. Please take away the random damage. No, take away the random damage.
Yeah.
It's still not amazing. It's fine for some of the casters that need the arc node.
Yeah.
Leave it as is. Get rid of the random damage. I don't know why.
Are these
that's
the
there.
orgasm
Let's
boys?
move
The bald orgasm boys? They're like, "Wee."
No. The Liberator has
Oh, okay.
one of their warjacks has an arc node, and but
you
the
arc
problem
through
is
it-
it's not a regular arc node. It's a arcadynamic
It
arc
might
node.
fail.
Yeah, and it fails on what, like a 1 on a D6?
1 or 2. 1 or 2. It takes
So
a point of damage to its
33%
first arc
chance
node box.
It just goes
And it
with
has
that.
2.
Okay.
Just get rid of the random mechanic. We're not playing Warhammer.
Yeah.
Fucking just sorry.
Yeah,
Just,
go for it or don't. Yeah.
like just give it to me. It's got 2 boxes. Like some of your casters are clearly built with the need to arc spells. Just
Yeah.
why? Why
Yeah.
is that there? Take it away. I don't need it. I don't want to see it. We're good. We're having a good time with our arc nodes. If you take that away.
All right, everybody, I'm going to give you one chance to talk about something that you think is pretty cool. We'll start with George. Something outside of what we've already talked about, maybe the battle engine. You've had a chance to take a look at the battle engine.
Oh, I love the battle engine, but I
Oh, wait. Colossal. Because you're going to buy the fuck out of that.
yeah, I am. I know. I'm sad.
You're going to mod that. You're going to have it like attached to some convergence thing.
I know. I actually just like the way it looks. I like the fact that it has no legs. Like that is in the Iron Kingdoms. This whole wheels that move thing is a new.
They've invented
innovation.
wheels in the
They've-
Iron. It's not just the Gobber Tinker who figured it out.
No, they're the first guys who went. You know those motors that we use? We could connect those to the wheels instead of making them to legs, so we could just drag the thing with wheels. I actually, as much as both of those are amazing, I really got to give it to what's her name, Alice, I think it is. The conversion model, like the child that is one model instead of 2.
I was a little
It's
bit.
it's
What's her
the
name?
guy that can turn. Yeah, it's Alice, but she turns. It's
She
the one.
turns into Big
I
Alice.
believe her name is Mark, actually, in the if we're looking at the description of the model. Just gonna
yeah.
throw that out there.
Alice Mark.
Mark,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and she's got the human form with empower, guidance, harmonious exaltation.
Mark
Basically,
1. Just sorry. Just gonna
Are you enjoying
Well,
that?
it's basically Chromac 2 or sorry Chromac 1, but a solo.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
isn't she a caster attachment? Yeah, she's a caster attachment that gives empower, guidance, harmonious, exaltation, and then when you need to, she goes nuts and kills whatever tried to attack your
That
caster.
is pretty badass.
I was
Yeah.
a little. They were talking about her in the dev talk, and they mentioned size-wise, comparatively, she's about the same size as a storm troll when she goes crazy.
Amazing.
Which I was like, that's fair, but I would have liked her like a little bigger.
You think so?
Yeah, just a little bigger.
Well, she still has to transform from a human.
I know.
She,
but
when she hulks out, you want her to be like.
yeah, like hulked.
Hulk.
Like,
like
super
completely
hulked.
hulked.
So, Jason,
So-
is there something that you're super excited about?
I mean, I haven't really looked through every single thing. I saw the artwork for the Trancer,
Mhm.
and I was like, that
he's-
looks cool.
He's really
That guy's
enjoying
having a
himself.
good
So it's
time.
tentacles or orgasm boys.
Yeah, he's all wound up in the straitjacket and kind
It's
of
like
floating.
it's
I'm
all
like,
that for you,
oh.
isn't it? That's
Oh, Jesus.
That's what you want in life. Is,
So your new diorama is 4 of them and 1 Satixis?
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Oh dear God! All right, Mark, you get last word, buddy. What is it other than what we've already talked about? What is it that you're like thinking is pretty sweet on all of this?
It's gonna be a 2-part answer. Prospero is pretty fucking cool. You know, Field Marshal, Dispel, and Veteran Leader Warjack means he slots into a lot of places because he gives you these Mat 7, Rat 7 jacks,
Oh, yeah.
which is way better than anything Convergence can ever put on the
Yeah.
on the field. I also do actually think the Rocket Men or what have you are really cool.
Yeah.
Being able to make them speed 9 on the mini feats, Def 16, you add I think it's Silvestro's feat or spell, and their speed 11 or sorry, their Def 18 with dodge. It's gonna give you this like really crazy like scenario presence if 2 units of those run up. They're Def 18, they all have dodge, they're past the midline. and they're just like, "What are you gonna do?"
Yeah.
I believe Pagani were like, I've been playing those a lot, and they're fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I believe was his like words.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't see that not being good. And then you add like you add purification and like I think that's going to be an interesting list.
Yeah.
But not making them immune to E-Leaps or Blast will mean it's not like oppressively good. It's just good.
Yeah, I can see myself pulling my hair out a little bit when those are halfway up the field. Like, oh shit.
What am I going to drift into these?
What am I going to do there?
Def 18 dodge.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with that somehow.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to be talking about this a lot more over the next 5 weeks. There's going to be a lot of changes. We'll try to keep up with this in the news. I know we don't talk about #fake rules as much as we I don't feel like we do it because it just becomes when you're just changing normal rules, it's one thing. But with a new faction coming up, it's a little more exciting. We talked a lot more about Grimkin when it was coming up, too.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll always talk a lot about the new factions because we want to talk about this. That's like the big news. That's the new hot thing that's coming out.
Oh, something else that should be mentioned. Apparently, there is a new set of paint pots coming out with Crucible Guard as well.
Yes. They actually so Dallas has
all
been
metallics.
They're super metallics. Dallas
comes with a chainsaw.
Yeah, Dallas has been foaming at the mouth to announce that stuff.
Maybe we should talk to Dallas and see if he wants to do.
See if he wants to talk about that. But they did confirm that. What was it? It won't be puke brown and bright pink. And the other thing is that there will be new paints for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for George.
The lightning round.
I thought you had a touch screen. I thought you had a touch screen for that.
Should we change it to the E-Leap round?
to the electrical slightly immune round. Die 6 questions.
No attacks. No attacks.
That's actually a really
suffer.
good. That's actually a really good shtick.
Yeah.
All right, both of you.
You now get D6 questions.
Both of you look forward. Both of you look forward, you bitches.
Because
I know
any of us can read your handwriting.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. You're worse than a doctor.
Question number 1. I can't even read my own.
It's true.
Half the time.
That's happened.
What is Gorman's full title on his card? Mark.
Gorman D. Wolf, the Rogue Alchemist.
Correct, sir. That is 1 point for Marc-Andre. Welcome
He's
back.
He's my favorite model in the game. Just throwing it out there.
Welcome back, Marc-Andre. I needed these guys. Jason's been winning
I was
lately.
Let's fix that.
Yeah, we needed
Let's fix that.
That can't happen. I don't know what kind of topsy-turvy world this is. But.
Question number 2. What faction does Hutchuk work for? Marc-Andre.
Okay, so he works for... Oh, fuck. Wow. Signar, Kador, Scorn, Legion, Circle, and Trollbloods.
I believe you are correct. For bonus points, what is on his card as per faction? Like as in the title, it says da 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 da.
So he's definitely. I mean, he's got to be. Are we talking post CID?
Post CID.
Okay, because he's Partisan Crucible Guard.
Mm-hmm.
But he's and I'm not looking at his new rules. He's got to be mercenary minion. I don't think he's Ordic. I'm going to say he's not Ordic.
He's not Ordic. You got it. Mercenary minion. So if that's you're at like 8 points now. Question number 3. What does binge drinking do?
Kill your liver.
Correct. In the game, what does binge drink with the power binge drinking do? Mark.
The model heals to full and becomes knocked down.
I believe you're correct. I'm not sure about the healing to full thing. I just got the you get knocked down. And
That's probably right.
Probably right.
Yeah.
I've been wrong.
No, I might be wrong on that one.
We'll give you half a point just because it's
I mean, what's his face? The ogre, the like reject.
Yeah, the ogre that got kicked out. Yeah.
Oh my god, I forget his name.
I can't remember his name either, and I had it.
Damn it.
He's a minion. He's a minion solo.
Yeah.
Jesus, what's his name?
Reject
it's
ogre.
too bad because Gudrun. That's it.
That's it. Yeah,
Gudrun the
Gudrun.
Wanderer.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 4. Assault Commando flamethrowers have what immunities?
And
George.
It's completely inconsequential because nobody plays them.
What?
That's not an answer at all. That was
What's
the Marc-André.
Immune to corrosion and fire.
That is correct. See, you would have got points if you'd actually guessed something.
Maybe.
Well, I would have gotten fired.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's Question number 5. What can move through an obstruction? What think powers, don't think model. The first person that was Jason.
A model with incorporeal and a model with ghostly.
One more.
Ooh.
And a model with
Marc-André.
yeah.
A model with flight.
Flight.
Shit!
I was like,
I used
how
to
are
play
you not
Legion,
getting
God damn
flight?
Question number 6. Mystic wards causes what? Marc-André?
So enemy upkeep spells on models in this model's battle group expire. Enemy spells targeting models in this model's battle group get -5 range.
Correct. Yes.
Jesus.
Question number 7. I believe it's expire enemy animi and upkeeps. And
That
magic.
sounded a little
okay,
too
no,
much.
no, I will take that L.
So you got the
You're
5.
right.
You got -5 range, but it is animi and upkeeps expire with
There
animi.
are no enemy animi anymore, are there? Because the Argus Moonhound lost its offensive animi.
Oh,
It's weird. So the rule, like you quoted, it is correct.
Yeah.
But I don't think there are any offensive animi.
Animi that it can do it to. Yeah.
I'm always offended by enemy animi. Question number 7. Who has the feat Blood Rage?
Blood Rage.
George?
Chromac?
It is Chromac.
Oh,
Which Chromac is
Which
it?
Chromac?
Ooh, the good one?
Say. I'll let you say 1 or 2. You get a 50-50 chance on this one.
2.
Incorrect.
Oh, it's one.
Chromac 1. I take away 8 points from you.
Yoo-hoo! -7. Oh, wait, I didn't answer any. -8.
Question number 8. What is the range on Icos's harpoon? Jason.
Range 8.
It is range 6.
It's range 6. I even gave you a pause to let you re-answer.
So right.
Question number
You
9.
had that.
By the way, -6 points for you, Jason.
Yeah,
What Jack currently has? Which Jacks that are in the game currently have Maker's Mark? Oh, tough one. They both answered at the same time. We'll go with Marc-André.
So the Vanguard and the Toro.
Correctamundo. Toro's not in the game yet, but
Yeah, I
I'll
was
give it
gonna
to
say
you
it's
anyway.
just Vanguard right now.
All right. So the Minty Fresh question of the week. I think Minty was feeling a bit wacky this week. So the Minty Fresh question of the week is Minty lore question that probably only Tony will get. Which old 80s video game sprite does the Squire remind Minty of?
What the fuck?
I'm going to go with the what are they called? The helmeted enemy out of Mega Man.
I was also going to say Mega Man.
No Mega Man. Anybody else want to give a guess?
Blaster Master?
No, it is the TP2 power armor from R-Type.
Oh God, yeah, of course.
There you go.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out as well.
If you played a lot of R-Type, then you know why.
I was out on that one too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight's show. I think that was we did our best. We did as much as we could.
There's a lot to
There's
cover.
so much to cover with the new faction. We'll have plenty.
And I mean, it's initial impressions anyway, because this shit's all going to change.
Yeah.
For the most part, anyway.
By the time we go live again, it will be different.
Yeah.
Well, and then eventually we'll have MA on with a whole bunch of comments on the final
Yeah,
changes and how we actually feel about the
that sounds
faction.
good.
we should just do it in 5 weeks. Yep.
All right, ladies.
I am in.
Nice.
Well, 5 weeks,
more
more
like,
like
a month and 5 weeks.
yeah, when
2
they
months
actually
and 5
release it,
weeks.
because we don't know what actually happens till they release.
well,
it.
it would be a good comparison in the beginning and end of it.
13 weeks.
13
Oh
to 25 weeks.
Yeah.
All right,
Lock and load.
Lock and load, yeah.
so we have a few bits of upkeep to do tonight. I want to
Yeah,
give
we
a
do.
little bit of shout out to our buddies at Out of the Box.
Oh, so good.
You guys have started playing there regularly. I wish I could.
They're so good. I can't go into that place and not walk out with something.
Have you seen their mats?
The mats are beautiful.
They're
they
like
have the new front
40
line.
bucks or something.
Yeah, they have the new frontline mats, and they're fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, they are really good.
Yeah.
And like The 4x6s were like $75.
Yeah.
Which is the cheapest you can buy the older mats for.
Yeah.
And the 4x4s were something stupid like $40
like
or something.
yeah, like $45 plus tax or something. Like,
yeah.
ridiculous.
It's great.
Yeah, like
super
I
cheap.
mean, big shout out to someone who keeps 2 of every model in his store.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and Dan also did a lot of work trying to get terrain in recently too. 3D
Yeah,
terrain.
I bought a not a lighthouse, a windmill from there. It's
cool.
like it's pre-painted and everything, and it is gorgeous. The windmill actually turns.
Nice. I got this set that has it's an entire campsite.
Oh,
it
I saw
has
that. Yeah,
it has a little caravan and stuff.
Yeah. I bought another. They have like a whole bunch of those resin sets. So
Yeah.
Anyway, guys,
this
so
is so good.
this is how good it is. Like, if you want this is the funny part. Dan just got into War Machine, and already he's
got
he's
everything.
all in, man.
Yeah, everything.
So go check them out. They are online.
Their online store is amazing.
Yeah.
You can order everything online. They have a points system, so everything you order, you get points towards free shit.
And for our Canadian friends, American prices.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
US
pretty
MSRP.
Oh, by the way, if you are inside Ontario and you would like some of these models at these ridiculous prices and you live somewhere where the models are much more expensive,
Yeah.
it's $12 flat shipping.
Yeah.
So it takes like maybe 3 models
Yeah.
for the shipping to pay for itself.
Yeah.
And then you order your 4th model and you're getting it at way under MSRP.
We should have just recorded the last 5 minutes and sent that to Dan as his advertisement.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and if you go on Tuesday nights, Marc-André and his crew are usually playing there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you,
There
You're gonna
were
learn
14 people yesterday. It was
Jeez
amazing. It was
Louise.
amazing.
Yeah.
So you might actually learn something as
Yeah.
opposed to coming to the pub where we literally make you dumber.
Yeah. You lose brain cells there. Real sort
That
of
is
thing.
my tactic. That is how hey,
how the dreamer keeps
nine
going.
win. That's how the dreamer dreams, baby. I just
Wait,
make you stupid.
You've not been drinking as much as we have.
Wait a second.
That's why Chris Aubin no longer goes to the pub anymore. He's just like, I have been literally getting dumber every time I come here. I blame you, Will.
Yeah.
And his beard eats a human. So other than that, we have to thank our guys at Muse on Minis who keep the lights on and the power running and make sure that you get to hear our podcast.
And hopefully we will get to see the Muse guys. Oh,
At the Soup?
they were at the OTC, and I'm hoping they're going to be
Yeah.
back at the
I
Soup.
imagine they'll be at the Soup.
So SOO is coming up.
Yes.
We
Less
want to
than a
speak to.
month.
We need
Yeah,
to
I
speak to
know.
less than a month. We haven't even bought our. We
we
have
need
to
to
figure
do
out what
that.
we're doing.
Yeah.
We know we're going. We just don't know in what capacity because George has to heal.
Yep.
I got AIDS, so I can pay for stuff.
And we are going to go on the record to say that this year is probably going to be a dumbed down cast as far as the live streaming because I am not going to be responsible for Becky killing anybody.
Yeah.
Which is what's going to happen if I tear open bits of myself because I was running
Yeah.
around too much. at
So
the same
infamously, George likes to say, "Well, Will and Jason made me." Whenever
Yeah.
whenever George gets stressed out, so we're going on the record this year to be like, "No,
No.
in fact, we're the ones that try to stop you."
Okay,
Point a
so,
fucking camera at the table and
so
walk
I'm
away.
going to keep it down to 4 cameras.
Oh my god.
No.
No,
Anyway,
no.
we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
We will be at the OT. We will be at the
We
SOO.
will be streaming games.
SOO. We will be at the SOO.
There
we
will be
just
streaming
don't. There'll be
games.
streaming games. It just might be a very simple system this year, and
More simple.
which is going to be fun because that means that we 3 might get actually play.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'll be
You guys better.
I'll have stumbling drunk all weekend.
I may be in a chat that may be full of a bunch of organizers, and I might know some of the games that us 3 are going to be playing after
What?
about 6 o'clock. And I am going to be, as the one with the least trained liver, I am going to be the albatross around your necks.
Oh god.
He thinks he's going to stop us from drinking.
Yes.
No. I think I am such a lightweight drinking wise
Oh,
that
there's a lot of
you
drinking
guys
games.
are going to be the ones who are going to flourish.
I don't even know how to play War Machine. Like, this is the problem I have with going out of the box.
This is why you're
It's
our
not a
winner.
pub.
Is that you play better drunk than
That's
sober.
why Madrak is throwing axes at maulers after the whelps have been removed. I don't know how to play when I'm sober.
That is worryingly
Oh,
correct.
dear
Yeah,
Lord.
it really is.
So to put a stymie on this entire ridiculousness, Marc-André, you'll be at the SOO, I'm guessing.
You know it.
You better
I'm all
be.
in.
Sweet. Okay, so that is happening. George, do we have any other big events coming up in the area?
February 24th is the World Ender here in Ottawa at FDB. In Gatineau. Go out, get your Pepsi and your May West for breakfast, and then you can go down to the FDB.
Wow.
That's not offensive.
March 17th is the World Ender in Mississauga, and I will definitely be there in case anyone is listening.
And that's pretty much it. That's where she's at. So we'll see you all at the SOO, and we've got some great people coming out again. And I guarantee you that we will be doing another State of the Game, which I'm super excited about.
So was Not Snakes Gaming there last year?
They might have been, but we didn't see them.
They're going to be there in full force this year.
Oh, good.
Combo Smite's going to be there. Fraser's going to be there. Troll Blood Scrum is going to be there.
And Menoth John already bought his ticket.
John is already coming.
So we will have another State of the Game podcast, and it'll be.
We're working real hard on Doug Hamilton.
Oh my god,
that would be awesome.
Real hard on Doug.
I will put this on the record that we will pay for Doug Hamilton's limo.
James Craig's going to be there. Yeah. This year we pay for Doug Hamilton's limo. Last year it was
JVM's limo. Yeah.
And Trevi's.
This time JVM fucking drives himself.
Apologies to Zosha.
All right. Zosha can get in the limo. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Zosha and Doug got a limo. JVM's hiking.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We're going to have to call it an evening. Thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. And thank you to our guest star, the one and only Marc-André LeBlanc, otherwise known as M.A.
Dice down.
Oh! Dice down! Moose Machine and This Deathclock Has 60 Minutes is a proud part of the Muse on Minis network. Podcasts go online every Thursday morning. You can watch the show live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and keep in touch with us on our Facebook page. Just Google Moose Machine. If you can't find us, you're doing the internet wrong.
Oh, dang. Best ending ever.
Yeah, that was awesome, Mark.
How long were you waiting to do that? Were you like, damn it, it's